The first ever Native presidential forum was held. Four Directions has played a critical role in protecting the Native vote for many decades. They asked the Native Organizers Alliance to partner with them to co-host this forum. Why? Because we work with tribal entities and Native community groups who are doing work on the vital issues of concern in Indian country. And we work with groups who are actually creating solutions. So it was a perfect partnership because Four Directions has worked on behalf of tribes, protecting the right of tribes to ensure that their citizens are able to vote on their own territories. And they have pioneered really the judicial fight to protect the right to equitable treatment at the ballot box. We heard from tribal leaders and Native community organizers about what are the concerns in Indian country, but even more important, what are some of the solutions? We were actually advising presidential candidates about what they need to do in order to win the votes and the hearts of Indian country.
Shining a focus on the issues affecting Native American communities, tribes, nations, and indigenous people generally, I think is really important. And this forum, a presidential forum, is a great way to bring these issues to the surface. Some of the issues I quite frankly wasn't even familiar with until I started focusing on the fact that I was coming to this forum. How the outcomes among Native American communities in many ways are so much worse than other American citizens. I mean, I knew of some of them, but not all of them. And I think in particular this forum is focusing on violence against women. In Native American communities, 4 out of 5 women will be a victim of violence. The ratio of sexual assault is much greater. I mean, it's appalling. So I think having a forum to shine a spotlight on these issues is just the right thing to do. And I think the way I can help is by showing up.
So many of our people are struggling with historical trauma as well as the PTSD of being through boarding school and other things like that. And we have not done a good job as a nation of addressing these issues. And so then we're sending our people out into these urban centers where they have not been given the tools or what they need to not only thrive there, to just survive there. And you know, I've lived on our reservation. I know how it's a revolving door where you have people, you're on the reservation then, but there's no jobs there, so you have to leave to an urban setting to go look for work, but you want to come back to the reservation to be by your family. And so it's a very different lifestyle than even what most other communities deal with regarding homelessness and regarding access to housing. And again, the nation hasn't dealt with its history. It doesn't know the uniqueness that are facing our urban communities where, yes, we go to urban centers, but we usually don't go there very long to stay because so much of our family and our hearts are back in Indian country on the reservations. And so we need to look at it from a different paradigm. We obviously need more resources in there, and but we also need a deeper understanding of what the challenges are that we're facing with that.
Having served as housing secretary, what makes me different is that I actually have been on the ground, talking to communities, on listening and learning in terms of what people need to be prosperous. So I know that we need to connect housing opportunity with economic opportunity, oftentimes transportation or transit opportunity, and educational opportunity. And I've worked on those kinds of projects with promise zones and with choice neighborhoods. So I bring a perspective of actually seeing how we do this on the ground and understanding that we have to fight for different types of resources for Native communities. I also believe that my policy is very ambitious in terms of the amount that we would invest in educational opportunity, housing opportunity, job opportunities. The investments that I've called for housing opportunity especially and educational opportunity, I think make my plan a comprehensive one. And the experience that I have actually working with tribal communities is something that distinguishes me from most of the candidates in this room.
So the purpose of the Frank LaMere Presidential Forum is two-sided. One is to mobilize, energize, and generate grassroots surge of Native voters to see how we can make the 2020 elections a real referendum on Indian policy questions. The other side of our goal here at the forum is that we need the mainstream to understand what our history is, what our concerns are, but we need those who are running for office to understand that there's no ignoring us. We are the swing vote. In 7 states, 77 electoral votes will hang in the balance, and the Indian vote can make the difference. We wanted to hear from every candidate possible about what their thinking is about Indian country. And what we heard today was very heartening. In fact, I think it reflects a new moment that we are experiencing in Indian country, and that is that we've interrupted the narrative. We've interrupted the narrative through action. We've interrupted the narrative in many ways, our ability to mobilize grassroots people on behalf of sovereignty.